Hello, everyone. I'm just going to wait a few minutes so everybody can get on and get situated. Sorry, we're having a few technical errors. I'm having a couple texts and emails come through saying you guys can't get on. So I'm just going to hold on for a couple minutes and let everybody get situated. Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I know some people are having some issues, so I will send it over later. But for now, I will just get started for those of you who are able. So, sorry, one second. So my name is Aubrey Green, and I own Kai Social Media. I started working in a marketing agency, and then I worked as a marketing manager for a national retail store, and I loved it. But I wanted to start my own business, so I started Kai and have been doing social media management ever since. So I would love to see your comments from what industry you guys are in, so I can get an idea of who we have on the call. So if you just click on the comment on the chat box and just fill in whatever industry you're in so I can get a feel for that. Okay, awesome. So we have a few retail, photography, and some others. So I'll try and gear this towards you guys. So we're going to talk about traditional versus social media marketing, and then why why you should invest in social media, and the biggest mistakes people make and how to do it right. So first, traditional versus social marketing. You probably know that yellow pages, mailers, billboards, magazine ads, and radio ads are all very popular forms of traditional marketing. But these are all one-way marketing, which is a marketing term meaning annoying, basically just a one-way area to sell. And there's also no easy way to keep track of if these avenues are actually working. With advertising on social media, you have complex analytics that you can tell who's clicked on it, and then from there, who has actually filled out your form or sent you an email. And these are great for brand recognition, but they're not the best for actually creating leads and, like I said, keeping track of actually what's working. And the conversion rate is only about 0.5 to 3%. So here's a little graph for you. This is cost per 1,000 views. So newspaper is about $35 for 1,000 views. But as you know, newspapers go out to thousands of people, so it ends up being hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands, depending on what newspaper. And same with magazine is around 20, and mailers would probably be closer to 40 or 50 because you have to pay for postage and you have to pay for the design and everything else that goes along with it, and plus your time and labor you have to put in. And then radio all the way down to Facebook, which is only about 25 cents to reach 1,000 people. And that's why I love social media, because even the advertisements are way cheaper than traditional marketing and it works so much better. So going on, why should we use social media? So nearly 2/3 of Americans own smartphones now, and 87.4% of Americans use the internet. And 2.3 billion users are now on social media. So that is a lot of people online. And I don't know if you've noticed, but teens and adults alike are always on their smartphones and on their tablets, and a big chunk of the time they're on social media seeing what's going on. And so many people are following brands now, the ones that they want to support. I believe it's like 50% of people, based on a survey done by Facebook, follow brands because they are loyal to them. And then about 45% follow because to see promotions and different specials and to get coupons. So from there, so you can see everything's going digital now. So this means that most of your target market is online and on social media, and there are powerful ways to target them. I don't know if you've messed around on your Facebook pages. If you have set up your Facebook page already, you can target a certain geographical area. So if you are in Phoenix, Arizona, you can just target Phoenix. And then also you can target certain age groups. And then with Facebook ads, it's even more powerful. You can target interest groups and behaviors based on what people have bought or what their job occupation is. Sometimes people tell me it's a little creepy, but you can get very targeted. Second, I know we've always heard word of mouth is the best form of marketing, and social media is a great avenue to encourage word of mouth. So this leads me to number 3, which is you want to create a relationship and retain your current customers. and thus they will spread more word of mouth for you. You've probably seen your friends share certain companies or certain products that they love on Facebook and from a different company's page, and that right there is word of mouth marketing. And that is the most organic type of marketing. Just that means unpaid. Basically, your customers are doing your marketing for you, and that is what you want, because that is the most trusted form of marketing, instead of billboards and magazine ads and commercials all blaring at you. You want your customers to do the marketing for you. And then 4, you want social media creates leads for you, especially if you're doing advertisements. Like I said, Facebook especially, you can do very targeted ads. They're my favorite platform to do ads on because there's about 1.4 billion people on there. So your target audience is for sure going to be on there, at least some of them. And then 5, of course, which most businesses want to do, is increase sales. Again, I recommend using Facebook ads to help you increase sales, because a lot of your posts, if they are 100% promotional, they will not be seen on your Facebook. The reach will be really low for those posts. Facebook came out with a new program, I believe it was in January, that said like 100% promotional posts. So basically those posts that just have a call to action in them will not be sent out to your audience, even if you post it on your wall. So just keep that in mind. You can still do contests and other things, but they can't be 100% promotional, saying, hey, buy this, hey, do that, because Facebook doesn't allow it. So I also wanted to go over the biggest mistakes in social media that a lot of corporate businesses are actually making too, and small businesses alike. And then after that, we'll talk about how to not make those mistakes and what you can do to have a successful social media campaign. So the first one, which I see all the time, a lot of my clients were actually not doing this, is responding to comments, responding to posts on your page. If it's Instagram, like writing people back if they ask you a question, just letting them know that there is a person behind the brand. And that leads into number 2, is neglecting your current customer and focusing 100% on your new customers. There's some people that just focus all their efforts on advertising on social media and don't post any organic posts, which just means posts that go directly into their newsfeed, and they're neglecting that client retention, and so they're not creating a relationship, and thus creating that market with your customers, having them spread word of mouth for you. So you really need to do both. I would say 80% really doing your current customers, because they already love you and they appreciate you. But if you're neglecting them on your social media platforms and not answering their questions, they're going to feel like you're not there. And number 3 is trying to be on all social networks. So especially if you are a small business, you need to be focused on, I would say, 1 to 3 at most. I would probably do 2, and just focus on those social networks. And I'll talk about that later, which ones are the best for different industries. And then the next one would be not identifying your target customer. So that's just not identifying what demographic you're going after, what gender, what interests. You really need to have a narrow, targeted customer. I cannot emphasize this enough. There's so many people who just want to reach everybody, and then they end up reaching barely anybody because their reach is so broad. So the narrower you go, you actually are going to be more specific to the type of people you want to reach, and they will in turn interact with you more. And number 5 is being socially awkward. basically what I mean by this is being robotic, kind of lacking personality, just not really having a brand voice for yourself. You really want to kind of establish what kind of community, what kind of person do I want to be behind the social media. And number 6 is, like I talked about before, being all promotional, just posting 100% about your product, or whenever you have a new product, just posting about that, or just posting your specials if you're at a restaurant, or just posting your pictures if you're a photographer. So that's also a big no-no. Mix it up. I like to use what I call the 80-20 rule, adding 80% value to them and 20% sales. So of course your sales is going to be the good part, like the part that you want to do all the time, but your customer wants to add value, or they're not going to want to follow you on your social media platforms. And that goes along with number 7 also. And number 8, I can't emphasize this enough. Buying fans is a huge no-no, because then you're going to have, I've seen people that have like 25,000 followers, and I've talked to them because I realize they're not getting a very good reach, and I asked, did you buy some of your fans or your followers? And they're like, oh yeah, like 10,000 are bought. And I'm like, well, that's why you're not getting reach, because a lot of these people aren't real people, and so they're not interacting with your posts. So then your reach is going to go down, and your engagement's going to go down, and social media is just not going to be effective. Looks like we have a question. Sorry, I'm still getting used to Google Hangouts. Okay, the question was, why do you get less engagement when you buy fans? And that is because, hold on one second, let me get back to the present button. That's because, like I explained, you want to have you want most of your fans to be actually interested in your product, because they're not going to be commenting and interacting with your things if they're not real. And so your reach is going to go down, and Facebook has this whole complicated algorithm that it uses to see who is actually interested in your posts. And I can answer more at the end. I know that's kind of a short answer for that. And number 9 is trying to target everyone. And this goes along with, I think it was number 4 in my last slide. And this one is for ads specifically. I work, again, like I said, I work mostly with Facebook advertising. And if you try and target everybody, you're going to reach a ton of people, but probably like 0.5% will actually click on your ad or do what you want them to do and actually convert into a customer. So you want to make sure that you're very specific, just like with your target audience. You want to identify, okay, who is my target audience? And then make them into like a person and say, okay, my ideal customer would be a woman who's 35, and you could do like 30 to 40, female, who's married, who's a homeowner, and put all those characteristics down. And then you can also target those in your Facebook ads. Again, I know it's kind of creepy, but Facebook has all of that information readily available. So it's great for marketers, because you can, and even like if you're a retailer, you can see who buys high-end retail and target those women also. So again, Facebook advertising is a great tool, but just make sure to be specific. Okay, now to the good stuff, how to do your social media right. And my suggestion is have a plan. Make sure you know what you're doing, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So number 1, I want you guys to get out a pen and a piece of paper and write this down. The first step is you need to do your market research. And what that means is Look up your competitors on social sites. If you are a retailer and you're going to be on Facebook and Instagram, check out your competition's Facebook and Instagram. What are they doing? What's working for them? What are they not doing? What's not working well for them? And then what can you learn from that? You need to do, I would suggest doing at least 5 companies. And they can, if you're a small box retailer, look up to those big national retailers if you'd like, and see what are they doing. Like people who are doing amazing on social media, go look at and see what they're doing. But I want to emphasize that you don't want to do the same things that these companies are doing. Like you can try some of the things out and see if it works for you. But just know everybody's target market is different, even a little bit, and your fans are going to be different than that big box retailer. So you want to have your content be a little bit different. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. But again, go through, see what's working well, what's not working well, and then what you can take advantage of that they're not doing. Excuse me. So next is pick which platforms you're going to use. And I talked about that a little bit earlier. So don't try and be everywhere. You don't want to be on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Google+, and have a blog and spread yourself way too thin. Because then you're just going to be mediocre at a bunch of social media platforms when you could be awesome at 1 or 2. And I will tell you which ones I recommend for which retailers or restaurants or all that coming up. So here's a snapshot of the average monthly users of each platform. So Facebook has the most, and then Pinterest right now has the least. And Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest also get the most clicks from links. Pinterest is awesome for if you're like a fashion retailer or a boutique. Pinterest would be great, especially if you have an online store. Facebook is good for most industries, and YouTube if you have a product or if you are a, sorry, my throat is so itchy today. And if you have a product that you want to sell or a service that you want to explain, and I'll go over the rest of these in the next slide. So for retail, I recommend Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. If you were just going to pick 2, I would do Facebook and Instagram. Instagram has great capabilities with hashtags, and you can follow pretty much anybody. I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm back. And restaurants, I would do Facebook and Instagram also, because these are brands that are very visual. Restaurants, everybody loves to see pictures of the food, so Instagram is great for that. And same with Facebook, because Facebook has reviews, especially if you're a local business. And then medical, like medical industries. I know these are most of the people who are on the phone with me, so that's why I identified these 3. I would do Facebook and maybe Twitter if you are committed to being very active, because Twitter users are on all the time. But there's definitely not as many users, and they're on the younger side. So just depending on who your target market is again. Okay, 3. Like we talked about in big mistakes, you want to have a specific target customer. So like I said, pick male or female, pick the age. Sometimes it's going to be male and female, but usually you'll notice a dominant class. Like, for example, some of my clients are dentists, and they've noticed it's usually moms ages 30 through 45. Actually, it's more like 28 through 35. are their target audience, and they are married and they have children. So we know that moms are usually the decision makers in their families, especially for their kids. And so that's an example of that. And you would pick like married, has children, and then their likes and dislikes. A lot of them probably would like specials and coupons. And then if you are in a specific location, like I said, Phoenix, Arizona, you would just type that in, and you can just identify exactly who your customers are, so your messaging is targeted to them. Because you don't want to talk about, for example, my dentist example, you don't want to talk about dentures if your target market is young families. So that's just an example of that. You really want to make sure you know who you're targeting. And here's just a little checklist over here of what can get you started. And as in depth as you go is better. So then from there, you want to make sure you have goals set out. So what exactly do you want to accomplish with social media? I see all the time, some of my clients just, before they started working with me, just started posting random stuff every day. And I'm like, so what are you achieving with your social media? They're like, oh, I don't know. I know I'm supposed to have it, so I'm just staying active, which that's better than nothing, but you want to make sure that you have a goal in mind. For example, I want to increase my sales this month by 20% by October 1st. So you have a deadline and you have a specific number. And then example 2, you want to increase engagement by 20% by October 1st. So each of those have a measurable and time-bound result. So set those up for yourself and figure out, okay, most of you will probably want to increase sales and leads, but remember, you want to be engaging with your audience. So make sure you have some kind of goal about that too, so they form a relationship with you and they trust you. And number 5, how can I accomplish my goals? So this is putting it all into action. Some examples of things that I do to add value are contests. Users love contests. I'll show you some example posts of things that I've done in the past. You want to have a list of promotions you're going to do for that month. Again, I said about 45% of users follow brands for promotions, but it's a balance because you can't be overly promotional on Facebook, but you can boost those posts for like $1 on Facebook, and it will reach a lot of people. So that's the awesome thing about that. And then user-generated content is great because then your fans are sharing their content for you. And I'll show you an example of that. And then, again, I can't emphasize adding value enough to your target market because they will not follow you if all you're doing is pushing things at them. You want to create that relationship with them. And then make a list of advertisements you want to do for yourself and set aside a small budget for that also. And then, so I used to work for this is the national retail store I used to work for. And this is just a example of how to get your fans to interact just by asking questions. So this had 33 comments. Just by asking which is your favorite, which is actually a very powerful word because it makes people make a decision between 2 things instead of having to come up with something off the top of their head. I know it's silly, but it actually works very well. So giveaways, like I said, are awesome. Look at this, 453 shares and 455 likes. And there was tons of comments below this too, but I cut it off. I just invited my fans to like and share this contest to be entered. And we reached so many people, and I just clicked on all the people who liked it and invited them to like the page after, because many of them weren't currently fans on our page, but found us because their friend shared it. Like I said, the word of mouth, it's awesome. and then user-generated content. So this is what I'm talking about. I know this is not a good picture at all, but look how many likes it got. 152. So basically I did something where I called Warmer Wednesday. So this is a candle warmer. You just put a candle under it and it melts the wax. And so they would send me pictures of their warmers every Wednesday, and I would post them on our Facebook page. And I told them the one that got the most likes by the end of the month would win another free candle warmer and a candle of their choice. And this got so much interaction, and I barely had to do anything because they wanted the most likes. So they were sharing their pictures with their friends, and their friends were getting interested and messaging us on Facebook, and it generated a ton of sales for us. So this is another awesome way, user-generated content. Come up with some kind of plan to have them come up with the content and you post it, because then they feel like they're involved and they're part of your brand. And again, that word of mouth, it's awesome. So those are, that's kind of the gist of what I have to share with you guys tonight. So I just wanted to share what I offer with you. If you need help planning your social media strategy or need help with management, I offer all those things plus consulting, or if you want me to do your competitive or market analysis for you, or you need help doing your social media advertising or just consulting on how exactly to do it, or if you need a website for your business, I also do that. So thank you all so much for attending. If you email me at aubrey@kaisocialmedia.com, I will send you the free strategy template. It's a very simplified version, but it will help you get started. And then if you want to like my page at facebook.com/kaisocialmedia, and that is my website, kaisocialmedia.com. If you have any questions or you would like to talk to me personally, just send me an email, or if you have any questions, I would love to help you guys out. And we can open the Q&A now. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. So if anybody has questions, I will open up the Q&A, or if you want to just email me, that is totally fine also. So looks like we don't have any questions. All right, awesome. Well, thanks for letting me present to you guys. Again, my email is aubrey@kaisocialmedia.com. All right, thanks. Bye.